this lesson is going to focus on what happens with the coordinates after a transformation has occurred. So, 613, we're looking at 6-18. Use the student E tool to answer these questions. Before you start moving the figures, identify the coordinates. So you're going to go ahead and click on this link, and it's going to open up an E tool, basically a Desmos lesson. So you are going to identify where A is, where D is, where C is, where B is, where W, X, Y, and Z. So once you're able to identify,
their teacher.
Once you identify what they are, then you're going to go ahead and answer these questions. So, what type of transformation would move figure A, B, C, and D onto figure W, X, Y, Z? So, what would make this move to that? So, you should be able to just click and drag. And as you can see, the sliders to the left are moving. So if it's at 0, that's where it started. My goodness, maybe it did. Okay, so, I'll move A. I don't know. It doesn't matter. So basically, I want to get this to where it was from, and I want to move it on top of here. So, well, that's what it's doing. Okay, so if I click A, it's giving me the first coordinates, which is -2, -1. And then as it's sliding, it's moving the coordinates for me. That's what's happening. So if I click D, here is my coordinate, or those are some of my coordinates for A, but I can move D, you can move A, you can move C, whichever one works best for you. So if you don't know the coordinates, you can click and you can find out. That's what's so great about Desmos. Zenith. So you're going to identify, was that a translation, rotation, or reflection? How far did A, B, C move, and in which direction? So when you're doing that, you'd say left this many, right this many, up this many, down this many, and then now the coordinate points of A, B, C, D, W, X, Y, Z should be exactly the same. Write a rule for what happened. So when you're writing the rules, you have X, and something is happening to X. In this case, it's either being added or subtracted to a number. Where is the number sign? Number. And then, comma, Y is either being added or subtracted to a number. Something is happening to Y and X to make it move. If you're not moving Y, you don't put any plus or minus or any number. If you're not moving X, you're not plus or minusing or any other number. So this is how you identify a translation. If X is moving to the right, you're adding. If X is moving to the left, you're subtracting. If Y is moving up, you add. If Y is moving down, you subtract. So now, the point 47 was translated, so it was slid to 32, -2. Without graphing, describe how it moved. So using this kind of equation, how is this becoming that? So you're going to make the equation for 6-19 with what's happening for the first problem and for this problem. So now using the same movement, using the same equation, where would -16,9 end up after making this transformation? So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to identify in 620 what is happening. How is CDEF becoming QPRS? QPRS. Is that a translation, rotation, or reflection? You're going to highlight your answer. Then, what are the coordinate points to CDEF and PQRS? You're going to look up here. What's the point to CDEF, PQRS? Give me those coordinate points. Each tick mark represents a single. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is right here. what happened to the coordinates to the figures of C, D, E, F, and P, Q, R, S? So something happened to make this become this in dealing with their coordinates. So if you want to write a rule, that would be wonderful. If you don't know how to write a rule, like I don't know, I'm just going to tell you in words, that's fine too. Again, you can use words, so if you want to tell it to me verbally, you can go to your tools, you can go to voice typing, and once you click to speak, everything that you type in is going to go into that box until you click stop. So, I'm going to go ahead and delete that because you don't need that. So instead of reflecting over the y-axis, let's try to reflect the figure CDEF over the x-axis. So I just gave you the answer if you were listening. So what do you think you could do to change the coordinates to reflect over the x-axis? So right now we're just thinking about what we would do to change it instead of over the y over the x. So there was something that happened here. Could you do that same thing just with the different letter with the x versus the y? Oh my goodness. And then you're actually going to go to Desmos to reflect CDEF over the x-axis. Insert a screenshot right here to show your work. If you don't remember how to make shapes on Desmos, I reinserted the link from our last lesson for making shapes on Desmos. The last thing you're going to do is you are going to multiply only the x coordinates by a -1. So the rule for that is -x, y. And then you're going to fill out this, and then you're going to answer what kind of transformation happened. And then that is your lesson for 613.